morning, Europe. Good morning from the Bulgarian Black Sea coast. We are back here at the Golden Sands at the Hotel International in order to run the Black Sea and Balkans Conference World Summit Light Edition. Why we have decided to do this? Initially, when we decided to run the Black Sea and Balkans Conference World Summit, basically it was our aim was to a bit try to strengthen the positioning of the region of the global MICE map. And after, in February this year, it turned to be a place for sharing knowledge, making new connections. We found that it's what we all need. It's to bring these positive vibes from late February this year, bring back and to try to have the conversation open, try to bring new positive thoughts and ideas for our community, because we create very good vibes and we network. And as organizers, I have to say that probably we've been extremely lucky to have one of the most important events for the region in a shape that we planned it, and it was great as an event. So none of us knew what was going to happen just in a couple of weeks. So we are really positive. We believe of the power of meetings, and that's why we are here, and that's why we connected again with our great speakers. And I would like to thank once again for everyone who joined and decided to be part again of this event and to share the thoughts, the good vibes to be put back on the table. So I would like to give the floor to Kate, that she opened the floor when we were back in February here at the conference. So we will be keeping the same agenda. We will try to follow the same scenario of the previous conference, and for all the participants, we will be having a Q&A session at the end. So thank you very much. Kate, the floor is yours.
Yeah, thank you, Theodora, and thank you for bringing this idea about the light edition. It's really something that we can do even nowadays, and it even brings some kind of a special touch into all this communication. So I'll share my screen now. Please tell me if it's okay, if you can see it.
Yes, it's good.
Yeah, good. Yeah, so today I will speak about the importance of communities both in life and business. And maybe some of you know that I'm the Vice President for Marketing and Communications at the Project Management Institute, which is a big community of project managers across the globe, bringing together around 3 million professionals in this field. And that's why, while I've been managing it for the last 3 years, I have found quite a lot about the communities and the community management as a whole. So I would like to share some insights with you today, and we will touch the community as a subject from the different angles, as a fundamental principle, as a business tool, and as an object that can be managed. So to start over, we should first of all define what the community actually is. And if you need some very clear and very easy explanation, it's something that you can refer to by looking at the picture like that, when you have people sitting around the campfire, telling stories, bringing some sense around, sharing some stories, building relationships, and etc., etc. But if you want to be like a bit more precise, I can say that a community is a group of people who know each other and who are engaged into particular activities. The activities are voluntary, they are not paid, and within these activities, people are trying to reach some common goal, common for this group. It's important to understand the difference between community and some other things that sometimes are confused with them. For example, we have a group of interest, which is also a group of people with a common interest, obviously, and with the horizontal relations within. Then it comes the audience, which is usually used in marketing and all that stuff. And it's again a group of people with a common interest, but this time they have some kind of the core element in the middle. Usually it's a company, for example, and it distributes the information towards each particular person in this group separately and gets the communication back. So it's one-way communication. The community is a bit more complicated thing, I would say. It's again a group of people, and they have a common interest, and they have the horizontal relations, which is very important. And at the same time, they have the core element inside. It's not usually the company itself. It can be a company, but also the most active participants of this community. And what is crucial here is that the community has a common goal, and they are trying to reach something, you know, and that brings the sense of them for coming together. This goal can be reached only when they are doing something together. Separately, they would never ever reach this goal. So the communities can be structured around different dozens and thousands of things, including the industries, the companies, the products and brands, even locations or some experience that people had in the previous days, ideas or ideologies, the products and etc. etc. Think about what communities you do belong to nowadays. It can be an interesting game. The role of the communities is actually growing, and there are a number of reasons for that. First of all, our VUCA world, which is very uncertain, unclear, very complicated thing to manage, and usually we are failing to cope with that. The technologies that we are using 24/7 brings us to the digital fatigue and the digital detox retreats that people sometimes are doing, just to switch off all phones and laptops and TVs and all that stuff. It's possible nowadays to have, 5,000 friends on Facebook, but unfortunately these relations can barely bring you some satisfaction at the end. The information flow, which is huge and cannot be absorbed by our small brain, that are not used to that, brings us to the so-called banner blindness, that we are not paying any attention to advertisement around. And moreover, we now live in the world where people are ready to pay not to see the advertisement. Automation and robots are making a huge shift in the management in general, and the just task distribution model is not that efficient anymore. And what people are doing in all this mess, they're trying to find the point of support in the place where they have always found it, in the communities, in the groups, in tribes, where they can really build the meaningful relations that can bring them the feeling of safety and belonging and importance and etc. For business, of course, it's time to rethink the traditional models and come up with some new ideas and solutions. If we talk about the internal goals that has focus on employees, it's a huge shift from the task distribution that we have mentioned already to the coaching and facilitation. And for external goals, it's not B2B or B2C anymore, it's P2P, person to person or peer to peer. And there is a great say that people fall in love with people, not with corporations. So think about that next time. It's quite a deep idea behind that. And, now what we have is what I call VUCA attack. It's like a peak of all this VUCA world coming at once. And I would like to show you some data. There's a search engine in Russia named Yandex. It's a kind of a Google for the Russian-speaking world, if I can say so. And they have a service that allows you to see the number of requests per a particular word per a particular period. And here's the data showing the requests per word community. It's written in Russian, сообщество, and you see the dramatic increase in mid-March once this thing have started. And in mid-April, it has reached its peak with over 2 million requests per day per the word community. And, it shows vividly that nowadays people need an extra, feelings of belongings and safety and importance to others, and, some kind of space where they can find the way they can express themselves, let's say. And this means that the upscale social relations are coming in the front area for us. And of course, if the communities are so powerful, it makes sense to think about how we can use them as a business tool. And actually, they can help you in both external goals that are related to sales and products, and of course, internal goals that are related to all internal processes going inside the company, including the recruitment process and the talent development and even the corporate transformational processes. And I would like to show you a few samples, just 2 samples actually, of using the community for external goals. For example, the Starbucks in 2008, they have started a special platform where people can suggest any kind of ideas and then discuss them and decide what to choose. And when they celebrated the 5 years of this platform, it turned out that they have brought to life almost 300 ideas. And it's amazing, you know, because the philosophy of Starbucks is that the client knows better what he or she wants from Starbucks. And there is a link so you can make some research afterwards. The Working Out Loud is an internal community of employees when they bring, you know, just gathering together once a week in 12 weeks in total in a row and discuss the progress in reaching their personal goals. And while the goals are personal, but at the same time, it gives them the opportunity to sharpen the pattern of joint work and discussion and trust-based relations. That's why this concept is used across different companies across the globe. So again, the link is over there, and I'm sure we will share the presentation with you, so you'll be able to make your own small research. And you know, if it's all that beautiful, why not each single business still has its own community? Because it's not that easy to manage the community, because the community is something that is built by people, for people, and around people. And people are not the linear algorithms. You know, they do tend to belong not the way we think they should. And that's why it is making it so complicated to manage the community. And just summing up the whole thing, I would like to show you the so-called community pyramid. It's my own interpretation of the community canvas, which is a framework for community management. And as you see, it is based on the business goal that you are trying to reach with your community. Then you have to answer yourself a few questions, including who. So who are the participants of your community? Purpose. Why are they gathering together? And that's where the TED Talk brought by Simon Sinek on one of the conferences can help. Start with why, or the golden circle. The values and the elements, you know, the joint experience that the people will have inside your community, the structure that it has, and the way you are going to market it. And, you know, I have my background in project management. So I would like to suggest you to use the agile approach if you're thinking about establishing the community. And one of the techniques the agile use is the MVPs, so-called minimal viable products, meaning a small slice of the project that is delivered to the client to get the very fast feedback, and then to work on the product in the direction that is really needed from the client side. So it is so-called minimal viable community. So try to think about how to deliver that small slice. Of course, it's a huge, big topic, and I would need much more than 8 minutes to cover the whole thing. But I would like just to give you just like a general feeling of what it can be. So of course, if you have any questions, please don't feel free just to contact me through Theodora or whatever. And maybe someday I will come and make the full, you know, workshop on that. And I will leave you with some homework, let's say, because if it would be a live event, maybe we will sit together in the groups and you will have the papers and you will, you know, share these ideas and put them down and have time to think over. But now we are here in live through Zoom, so you can do that by yourself or with your team later on. So think about the communities that you do belong to and about the ideas or tools that they're using and that can be adopted in your current business model. Think about the communities that are already existed and that can help you in promoting your business. It is also known as the community marketing. And if you think about the establishment of your own community around your own business, if you're serious about that, then please first of all define the goal and the way the community can contribute into that. Because without defining the goal, everything else makes absolutely no sense. So the questions, we will have them at the end. Here are my details, and I'm done.
Thank you so much, Kate. Really, really interesting, especially in, I have to ask you, have I passed the test? And we as organizers, have we passed the test and actually bringing back the community with this event, those delegates and speakers, and I can see many friends and partners from my past experience, and I can see Ayan from Azerbaijan. I know how many of our colleagues in Sofia together currently live in the hotels. So have we passed the test of bringing?
I think you do, and we all do. You know, it's important to understand the community. It's not something that can be, you know, controlled in a linear way. It's a kind of a tree, let's say, that grows usually by itself, and you as a manager, let's say as a community leader, can only bring enough water, enough light, enough soil, and etc., and let the community grow itself. And you know, it's an interesting thing about the events and communities, because they can work in a different ways. First of all, the events is the main tool for community development, and it is important here to have them not very, you know, big, but once in a year, for example, but have the particular rhythm and to do them regularly. And at the same time, there is also you know, some practices when the communities are built around the event. For example, if we take your our summit, you know, and you want to keep people warm throughout the whole year, not to then just, you know, contact them backwards again and again at the when the event is approaching. It's also the place where the community can help you to make people more loyal and to keep them warm throughout the whole period from one event to another. So there is a big thing around the events and the communities.
Yes, perfect. Thank you. So, Rob, when you were back here in February, we heard a lot about the Generation Z and all the new techniques about the events and what to do in the conference and what to do in the next edition of the conference. To be honest, I'm not the most technical person, and when you were talking at the stage, I was thinking, okay, but I would probably will stick to my way I know the things of inviting people to be on the stage and not with these hologram things and stuff. I didn't know that the next edition of the conference itself would be in a Zoom environment. But you see, we are learning every day. So from today's perspective, would be good to know why the face-to-face conference matters. The floor is yours, Rob. Thank you.
Okay, well, thank you very much, Theodora, for the very kind invitation to speak at this event. This is a wonderful idea, and I'm so happy to see all my summit friends back together, even though it's only virtually. I mean, if you think back to February, if we knew then what we know now about how the world was going to change, well, it would seem like science fiction or the plot of a very bad movie. But here we are, 3 months on, and yeah, what I would like to talk in my 8 minutes, I'd like to speak about what we're doing now, really, which is a virtual meeting. Here we are on Zoom, and of course there are many other platforms as well. And one big thing that we've all noticed in the last 3 months is that so many organizations and companies have moved their events onto Zoom and Skype and other platforms like this. And in many, many ways, those virtual meetings have been fantastic. They have meant that people can keep in touch and communicate together and do a lot of the things which we would do in face-to-face meetings. And you know, those virtual meetings, they've been around for a long time, and they've always had a role in business life, in association life, community life. But of course, in the last 3 months, virtual meetings are practically all we've had if we want to communicate with each other. Now, I like virtual meetings, and I really do think that they have their place in our society. But one concern I have is that as we slowly get back to a kind of normal situation, and that's going to happen at different times in different parts of the world, I'm nervous that many companies in particular are going to think, well, you know, those virtual meetings we had were okay, and why don't we just continue to meet online instead of bringing people together? Now, we in the MICE industry, we don't want that. All of the hotels watching this conference today, they don't want that either. We want people coming together face-to-face for live events, whether it's a half-a-day board meeting in a hotel or a 5-day association conference for many thousands of people. We want that business, and we deserve that business. And what I'm going to say in the next 5 minutes is something I think all of us need to remind ourselves about: the strength of face-to-face meetings and the relative limitations, let's say, of virtual meetings. Now, let's begin by what virtual meetings are good at. I think that they always had a place and always will have a place for certain types of meetings. Those meetings are small, not too many participants, maybe 10, 12 maximum. They're short meetings, an hour, maybe 2 hours. And they are meetings where the participants already know each other. They are simply communicating, exchanging information, updating each other. Fine. Those meetings can happen online. And perhaps, if we're honest, they should happen online. It makes no sense at all to be putting colleagues on planes, on trains, and in hotels for a short meeting like that. They're short, they can be done online, and then bang, everyone goes back to work. They don't lose time in the office. I think that virtual meetings work very well in those situations. Almost all other situations, no. Face-to-face. Let's think about the limitations of those virtual meetings first of all. A major limitation are the technical problems that you can have. Simple example, it's an international meeting and you want to have it online, but you have participants from China, from Europe, from America. What time are you going to have that meeting? Because whatever time you choose, some of those people are going to be sleeping. They're going to be in pajamas. Other people will be having breakfast. Time zones are a problem. Technical problem number 2, simple problem with the internet. It's too slow, too weak, bad quality images, bad quality sound. We all are familiar with those problems in the last 3 months, and we're praying that nothing happens today like that. And then finally, there's the issue of confidentiality, the constant danger of people breaking into those meetings, hacking them, and hearing the kind of information being exchanged. Companies are very nervous about that if the information is commercially sensitive. So those are the challenges with virtual meetings. The other one is much more fundamental, which is the kind of person-to-person communication that we have in those face-to-face meetings. We all had a wonderful, wonderful time in February, meeting new friends, exchanging information, and getting surprises. You know, it's very difficult to be surprised in an online virtual meeting. You are there for a specific purpose. There's practically no networking. Virtual networking really, really is difficult to organize. But every man and every woman watching this today knows that a lot of the value of face-to-face meetings are those surprise encounters. You know, you sit with someone at the coffee break or in the bar of the hotel in the evening, and you start to chat. I mean, a big, nice example from the summit in February, that fantastic place we went to for the gala dinner. Everybody remembers it. Everybody remembers the Eurovision song lady with her beautiful, beautiful voice. That evening, I met Radoslav Ivanov, a young man who told me everything about the historical park opening in Bulgaria. Wonderful. He wasn't a speaker. It wasn't a presentation, but it was valuable information exchanged just in an informal social element of the conference. That's almost impossible to organize online, those conversations that you have. So we need in ourselves, everyone working in the MICE industry, we need to be very confident about the positive arguments for bringing people face to face again. And the simplest reason of all, I believe, is that people like them. People enjoy them. I mean, there's no such thing as a virtual honeymoon. No one goes on a virtual honeymoon. It just would not work. And I think that conferences are similar. We need people coming together face to face for all those benefits that I have mentioned. Those benefits, we all know them, but in the next few months, we're all going to have to become advocates, ambassadors once again, to persuade our clients of the importance of face-to-face meetings. We can do it, ladies and gentlemen. In fact, we must do it. And thank you very much for your attention.
Thank you very much, Rob. It's really, I mean, I've been using these exact words about the virtual honeymoon for a long time, because we have obviously, I think all of us, we had many discussions and interviews and about the fear whether the meetings will continue to be face-to-face. I remember something in the past when I started my, let's say, career in the exhibition industry, and the time it's 2003, and I was doing a lot of, I was exhibiting at a lot of events in UK for the property sector. At that moment I was in the property sector, and I do remember that in 2004 or in 2005, because of the value and the demand of the property sector, it was booming, growing, brilliant. So even at this point, there were virtual exhibitions for the property sector, and this didn't work, because the power that you can meet the client, that you can make the business, and you can feel, you can see the eyes of your potential either business partner or customer. The energy, you can see the energy. I think this can't basically work in an online environment. Today
it's all about trust. It's all about trust, and we trust people that when we can shake their hand and look them in the eye, then we get that trust and rapport, which is so important for business, for association life, for everything.
Yes, so it's that's brilliant. So thank you so much.
Pleasure.
And then we are going back to Simon. One extremely thing that you've shown in February was the history of the exhibition industry. I do remember we went back in, 1980, and one of the things, and I keep saying this even to my kids, about the way you explained, I will remember this forever, about this. First there were the name of the shows, and how suddenly the most important letter in the alphabet became the letter T. Probably because I'm Theodora, and I will remember this forever, but because all the shows become with the Bob show, the baby show. So Simon, the floor is yours. What you will say today?
Thank you, folks. I just want to go back, if I might, and let's hope that this works this time, to my original presentation. Okay, I started off with this slide, a holding slide, and I think, although on the top right there you can see a crowded exhibition hall, on the top left is an empty one, and at the moment for the last 3 months we've been more to the left than to the right, and the idea was I thought, right, where are we at the moment? Where are we going? And then we made some conclusions. And my very first slide was an understatement. My very first slide said, change is inevitable. And really, I think over the last 3 months, we have had more change than any of us probably could have imagined. I think, as Rob said earlier, you know, if somebody said to us, you know, in 3 months' time, you will be working from home or not working, but at home. You will not be able to meet people. You cannot touch. You cannot. We would have gone, this is fantasy. And really, the change has been immense, because I think we as an industry needed something to nudge us into action. And I've just put together some thoughts, because at the time, the way I viewed it was that in the future, it's all about people and business, and primarily people were social creatures and business needs a return on investment. Nothing has changed. People are still social creatures. We want to get together. We do want to go to those dinners. We do want to stand outside in the smoking area and drink coffee and just talk nonsense. So virtual, I think, as Rob was saying, virtual is great for instances where it is so much more cost effective to just switch on your PC and have that short meeting, especially if it's, as again Rob was saying, an information give session. That I think will stay. There are so many meetings that I have had where I've got on the train, having got to the station, parked the car, got my ticket, get on a crowded train that's very expensive. Sometimes you can't get a seat. You end up standing all the way there. You get to London Underground, which is again crowded. You get to your destination. You then walk to your meeting. You arrive a few minutes early because it's polite. Then you wait for 15 minutes. Then you get your meeting. Half an hour later, it's finished. And then you've got another hour and a half to get back home for the same. Online now has proven its worth, and I think people will start to use that. My thoughts are really quite straightforward. I think one of the things we will see is a lot more of the safety aspects in the next sort of 3 to 6 months. And we will get used to wearing masks, and we will get used to hand washing, we will get used to temperature checks. And actually the proof of that is you look at what happens at an airport now. You know, the last time I flew, they practically undress you. I even had to take my watch off. Now, you know, I beep when I go through machines. So I got so much metal in my teeth that I beep. So it's nothing in my pockets, and I do that thing where you have to stand up in that little machine, and I still beep. And the point is, taking your belt off or taking your shoes off, taking your watch off doesn't really help, but it makes people feel safe. And I think, you know, we will not have a problem with all the checks and the contactless stuff that we have to do. I think social distancing will also be in existence for a while. Now, you know, whether it's 1 meter, 2 meters, half a meter, whatever, there will still be an element of that. And again, it will become part of daily life. I think the biggest change to our industry will be the hoary old argument about quality versus quantity of visitors. You know, we have always maintained that a good quality audience is far better than a heaving hall full of time wasters. The problem is human nature. If you're an exhibitor on your stand and the aisles are rammed solid with people, you don't feel so vulnerable. You don't feel so exposed. Whereas if there's only 5 or 6 visitors walking past, you actually are much more conscious of having to drag them onto your stand. So I think because the quality quantity argument will come back into being, then I think some organizers will have to change their charging models. It is no longer viable, especially with, let's say, a consumer show, to rely on gate money or ticket money. You know, it'll have to be a different way of doing it. Likewise, you know, if we need more space, then the organizer and the venue will have to negotiate over the extra space. And clearly, there needs to be a change, maybe along the lines that others have tried, but a change to the way we do things. The hybrid and the online, I see very much as an enhancement to what we do. It will never replace what we do. I do recall back in the sort of 90s when the internet was sort of early 90s when it was first taking off, that people were, you know, on my conference circuit, most of my conversations were internet, is it a threat or is it an ally? And we always maintained at the time that the internet can only help what we do, but it will never actually change or replace what we do. And I think that's very true. The main thing now is that technology is better. We have more choice. It's much more intuitive. I think the first few conference webinars that I ran were incredibly complicated. You had people dialing in, you had and people dropped out and then it went blank. So I think because technology is better and people are now forced to become more au fait with it, then I think it's something that, you know, we will certainly do and it will help our shows. And I think, as Kate was saying, the one thing about online is it will just be a very good way of keeping your event alive long after your physical event has finished. The other thing I see happening with our industry is that international events will probably be the last things to recover. And this will be for a number of factors that we've already talked about, some of which is, you know, the whole amount of time it takes, but also because of things like quarantine and so on and so forth. So I think, you know, we will recover domestically, then we will recover with our neighbours, and then eventually that circle will become wider and wider until it becomes truly international again. But I think that will take a good while, because initially I think that the thought of making an employee get on an aeroplane that may or may not be safe will have such an and potential lawsuits, especially in some countries where that's very fashionable. So I think the international side will be, you know, the very last one or last part to recover. The other thing I have to say, and it's my final thought, is that, you know, COVID, there will be 20, there will be 21, there will be 23. We will have a future, and many of them, pandemic. And as a result, most businesses that I've spoken to are now building in disruption as a normal part of their future planning. So, you know, we now know we can work from home. So we now know what some of the issues are. So, you know, a good internet connection, a decent laptop or PC, speakers or video, a desk or working area, office furniture. And I think what will start to happen is that more people will start to work from home because they can. You know, I don't know any single person who has missed commuting or spending time in traffic. So I think there will be a pressure from us as employees to want to work from home. Secondly, I think companies will accept that. You know, there are huge benefits of not having a big corporate head office in a town or city centre. So I think that will happen. But I also think that we are waiting for the next pandemic, and then we'll go back to working from home, and then it will go back to normal, and then it will go back to home. So I think this constant disruption will also be something that we need to prepare ourselves for. So it's a good news story in the sense that I think a recovery is not that far away. I do think that once it happens, people will remember how nice it was to be able to go out for dinner and have those drinks after a conference and not just have a Zoom call. Personally, I like the Zoom call because I can smoke on a Zoom call. I'm not out of courtesy to Dora. But actually, there are some enormous benefits of working from home. Okay, folks, that's it from me. Thank you very much. I hope that's given you some ideas and some thoughts.
Thank you very much, Simon. I know you know that on the 17th floor here, where we used to be on the first day in the during the conference, it's taking time for me to go downstairs to smoke. So you're in a better position than me right now. Just one question to ask you: do you predict any new wording in front of in the name of the events? Are we gonna add some hybrid the age to be suddenly, or any thoughts on that?
Yeah, I think a lot of companies have said that they will try and run some hybrid events, and actually at the moment there are some that are happening. The point I'm making is those hybrid events are happening because they are forced to, not because they have a choice. I think, once there is a vaccine and this is under control, then the choice will be, we want a physical event.
So how about the word safe? The safe show?
Clearly it is, coming back to Maslow and the basic human needs, I think safety is number one.
Yes.
So as long as that is a given.
Yes, I mean, I will say later on a bit. We had last week, but I will get back to that later on. We had the General Assembly meeting of the Bulgarian Convention Bureau, and we have executed it according to all regulation and standards. And it was, I will send some picture and images, but everyone was sitting on a table, which is 1.5 meters. There were different exits, exit and entrance and distance and marks, everything. I mean, we can do it, though, as we all know that without shaking the hand, without basically gathering either on the networking or smoking area, this is not the same environment. We can do it, we prove we can do it, we film it, we can do it, but obviously we will be all looking back to those times where we can hug each other and be really happy being together.
Yeah, we know we did it. On the 1st of June, we ran our first training course, and instead of being 16 people, there were 4. They were all on separate desks. They came in one way, they went out the other way. Lunch was given to them in a pre-packaged container. So it is possible, but it's not the same.
Yes. Okay, so let's see. Stelios will be willing to tell us how the associations managed to communicate and how basically change the life and how you see now the future of the association. So if you can speak from if you are the voice of the associations, what you can tell us. Please, yes, you need to unmute yourself, yes.
So hello everyone, and thank you, Theodora, for organizing the Reload Light version. And I remember when I made the presentation the last time, I mentioned that the voice of the association should be should sound like a polyphonic group of Bulgaria, that harmony of voices, but actually it sounds more like a monophony or a cacophony. But I have to say that during this period of time, this last 3 months, I was very excited, delighted actually to see that all those associations that managed to unite their members, move fast, become a little bit more innovative, they managed to raise up their voice and really have a significant impact in both societies and in the internal community. So the crisis actually helped those that they were either ready or willing to change, to actually accelerate change and in help both in the feeling of the community, the value of the association, but also significantly helping the world. There is many associations that they were in the front line. I see good examples, for example, from the cleaning industries or from the transport association, how they manage to get everyone together, their communities together, exchange views, understand what it is the problems, give solutions in a very short time and with a very good reaction. But then again, it's not the same for everyone. The association cover, as I have mentioned before, quite a variety of different associations and entities in general. And I have to say that one of the things that struck me the most when I was reading all this discussion on the, following the different media, LinkedIn, etc., it was someone quoted saying that we are all in the same store, but we are not in the same boat. So the way that everybody is reacting, or the way that the capacity of everyone to react is not the same. So we see many differences on what was the impact of the COVID in the association world. And of course, this comes also in waves. Back in March, beginning of April, we were still in shock. We were trying to understand what was happening. People were canceling, postponing events, reaching out to see what are the solutions. During April, I think that there was this community honeymoon, let's say, celebration time. There was all this knowledge, sharing of knowledge. There were free webinars everywhere. People were trying to help, people were trying to understand what was happening. But now I think we are going much more to the level of, okay, how we going to take the next step, how we are actually, what does it mean for the business, all this change. And there we still have an uncertainty. I think that, and seeing a different of surveys that they are coming out, we did one with SSIA, with ICA. I think that it is clear that everybody believes that the virtual meetings have limitations. They cannot reach the potential that the face-to-face value. And I think that this is clear, and everybody agree on that. At the same time, there is it made clear the need to innovate, and the need to change and to think different ways of engaging with membership, with delivering, diversifying also your revenue stream, and also trying to understand how you better how you can better reach your purpose. So right now, many of the associations are currently looking on, I would say, 4 main areas. One, it is the membership schemes, how they, when it comes to revenue stream, how they change their membership schemes, the relation with partners and sponsors, the way that they will going to engage to and digitize their association and their offer. And finally, I think there is a big discussion on the meetings in general, and what is the value, and what how the association captures value. It was clear that the association that they were heavily dependent on meetings, events as the main source of income. They are in a difficult position, and therefore the discussion is how we diversify income. So the discussion about the virtual and physical event is one, but we need to go beyond this topic, this debate. there is already, this was an issue that many associations were thinking how they actually diversify their offer. And for many, it was, they couldn't depend only for one event that it was happening once a year. So they needed to expand, let's say, the offer in more throughout the year. And actually, one of the things that came out, it was that doing webinars and offering, especially for international association, being able to open their, some of their services to through the world of internet, so internationally, actually allow them to get more people, get more visibility, build their brand. So we understand that there is a big need for face-to-face meeting. This will not be substitute, but at the same time, there is a huge opportunities out there, which is not necessarily one or the other, is not digital or physical events or hybrids. I mean, there is we can think much more than that, and we can understand that there are much more value that we can offer, both for the stakeholders that we are working, but also for and capture back value for the association. So it is not only the way that we deliver value, but also how we spread it on time, how we think more innovative through the channels that we have in order to reach more, have more impact. Finally, associations, I mean, crises in general, and they are, these transitional periods are periods of instability. And there are periods that we need that in order to pass from one normal to the other normal, you need this multi-stakeholder approach. You need people coming together and understanding from their own perspective how this could work. So association, by if we consider them as a community, they are these places, these hubs that they can actually provide stability on the one hand, but on the other hand, somehow trigger a little bit this innovation in order to safely move to the next normal. So the question will be in the end on when we are looking on the events, that the world is changing, there are huge opportunities, and we all need to embrace them and change as well in order to have to move successfully to the new normal. Things will be rough, as in every transitional period, but things could lead us also to something much more valuable, much more interesting, and for many it will be an opportunity also to see the profits rising if they are ready to change themselves as well.
Well, thank you very much. I wanted to ask you, according to my work during the last couple of months, I can definitely say that associations had a chance to get closer to their members. And I also was following some of the webinars of your association, and I have to say that if the organization and associations put their things in the right way, this couple of months through the webinars, through the online meetings, I mean, they managed to really understand more in depth the activities of their members. Do you agree on that?
Yes, I think that the one thing that came up quite strongly is that it's not business as usual. You are in a crisis mode, so you have to move fast, and you have to be there. You have to be to show empathy, to care about your members, and understand that they are also in a very harsh position. They are also, they have their insecurities, they are dealing with all this stress, and you need to be there. You need to show that you are caring. You need to come out with solutions to help them, to support them. And somehow this, I think that this, at least for SIA, it paid quite well. And I see that with many peers, general secretaries, executive directors that we are discussing in different associations, we see that this was the main, let's say, currency that they had. It was the trust, the way that you secure this safety and trust of the people that they are united in the association. Everybody's looking somewhere. I think Kate nicely mentioned it also. People were looking on the community. Everybody, I think the words safety, trust, it is the main words that we are looking at this, and cooperation. I would say that cooperation is extremely necessary, and I think that multi-stakeholder cooperation is even more necessary now. And the need of convention bureaus, hotels, the hospitality sector association coming together and understanding what is the real impact of the events, it is more than necessary today. I think that we can, I think that the whole mines industry, but also association world, they will come out of this the crisis even stronger if they are sincere and ready to change.
Thank you so much. Thank you. Anthony, I see you're here. So
it's an achievement.
yes, we hear you. And I'm really happy to give you the floor and you to tell us more about how you see the events and the festivities.
Thank you. Thank you. Well, first of all, I mean, I think everybody said it, but thank you so much for putting this together. So it's actually initiative on its own that I haven't seen to introduce a sort of an event light so soon after the initial thing. It's great. It's a great way of continuing the conversation, and it seems like such an easy step, but it's not one I've seen before. So fantastic. I hope everyone has emerged from our last meeting in relatively on good terms. I hope you all got through it okay. It's a rather unpleasant event, obviously. What I'd like to talk about is sort of a continuation, in a way, of what Rob and Simon and Stelios have spoken about, but coming from a slightly left field perspective, perhaps, because one thing that COVID-19 has done, I mean, in my time as a journalist, I've covered some incredible show-stopping events in our industry. I mean, there was if anyone remembers, the volcano, which grounded airlines and stopped people attending events back in, I think it was 2014 or something like that. We've had isolated epidemics in Asia, which have brought the industry to a standstill there. We've even had, ironically, the emergence of online technologies, which have had us clucking like a fox in the coop. But we've never had anything like this. This really is the sucker punch. However, it's also the sucker punch for the cities. And one argument I'd like to make is that the potential impact this has had on city development is one reason why it could cement the legacy and benefit of exhibitions for years to come. Whereas many of the associations are doing everything they can to extol the virtues of trade shows and exhibitions at this time of year, as we look to the new normal and that sort of thing. I actually think this has strengthened our hand, and I'll give you a few reasons why in the next 5 minutes, if I may. It's particularly relevant in the UK because our industry is based, our export industry is 84% services. So the ability, the feasibility and viability of working from home rather than going into the cities again is a very real one in my country. Facebook have said that many of their employees aren't going to return to the city. Jess Staley, if I can find the quote, said that he's the CEO of Barclays Bank, and he said he was genuinely surprised by the ease of it all. He claimed it was absolutely remarkable that a bank with 1.4 billion on its balance sheet was functioning, while the vast majority of its 80,000 staff are working from home. His exact words were, "It's an extraordinary thing that technology has allowed us to keep this bank so functional, given that 70,000 people are doing it from their kitchens." And I think it has taken people by surprise. And whereas this is a threat to our industry, what's perceived as a threat to our industry, this remote connectivity, the ability to meet as we are this morning, it's not going to replace what it is that makes cities so productive. Somebody living in the city, an executive in the city, is roughly twice as productive, if you look at salary and output, as one living outside of the peripheries of municipal areas and cities. Our species, in case you don't know, became urbanized in 2014. That was when we tipped over. That's when the World Health Organization recognized that we now live as a species primarily in urban areas. It's why the absolute hammer blow of a pandemic has been felt as such a hammer blow. We're unable to cope with it without putting certain procedures in place. But it's very hard to put those procedures in place, because you know how it is. You don't tidy your room once. You have to go back and keep hygiene levels up. You have to maintain interaction on a level that we have never done before. And I imagine that it won't. We'll have the track and trace. We have mobile phone technology. But cities remain invaluable places where people can build networks and learn how to collaborate. The UN believes that we'll get up to 68% urbanization by 2050. There's going to be 400 million more people living in the cities in India alone by that time. So naturally, the emergence of a highly contagious disease is everything. But unlike in 1918, when the Spanish flu claimed the lives of, I think it was 50 million, we have alternatives. What is particularly of interest there is that Zoom didn't pop up overnight. I think we all sort of think it did. It wasn't there before, but it was well established, along with many other technologies you may have used for your video conferencing. Back at the end of last year, it took a pandemic to make it real. The funny thing is, the brain workers logging into these Zoom meetings, the service industries, from the commuter towns and country cottages where they're currently holding out, they can do their jobs because they formed these relationships and imbibed cultures in corporate offices. Their heads are still in the city, though their feet are not, as it was claimed in an Economist article not long ago. My business has managed to survive throughout this because of partnerships I made before. Zoom facilitated the meetings, but I know these people in 3D. I know these people as I know you everybody on this call. We met, well, almost everybody on this call, because we met in person. So if that sounds familiar, then that's because that's how an exhibition works. We're all just names and email addresses until we meet in person. The sheer size of a city makes it hard to maintain that, but an exhibition can be maintained in such a way as to allow people to meet with the safety and security that the previous speakers drew attention to. So whereas you can't, look after a municipal area, exhibitions may come to be the way that we do business. If everybody's going out to the satellite towns, working remotely, we're facilitating a new way of working, then perhaps what we're going to be dependent on is trade shows, because we may feel nervous about, the idea that your collaborators became threats for the last 3 months is such a peculiar feeling. And some people will maintain, whether through desire or necessity, some sort of remote working arrangement. So if they do, then 3 days a year, or that's just one event they'd attend, but perhaps they attend an event which the German government has now dictated is separate to a festival. So trade shows are seen as unlike normal mass gatherings, because you can control flow. You can introduce hygiene measures. You can ensure everybody goes one way around a venue. So there is an element of control that they can introduce. So it could be that this becomes the new way that we interact 3D with people in the real world. We may now start seeing them through trade shows, less so than the city, this convivial way of working. One good example I'd like to bring up before we get to the end is New York City is sort of unique in the US because of its dependence on a transit system. So Manhattan Island has 1.2 million people. That floods to 2.4 million people during the working hours. And obviously theatre district and people dependent on footfall, their business is impacted by that. But also that fizzing hub that is created in the offices by people coming into the island for that period of time is lessened because people are now not coming in from the periphery, they're working from home. So if that's going to be the case, and if to any degree it's going to continue to be the case for time to come, then perhaps they will come in to the Javits Centre for the exhibitions. Perhaps they will, the slightly lessened need to come into the cities would be mitigated somehow by the ability to attend these events. So it may not be the case, and the rise of the city, I think, is unstoppable. But it could be the case that if we had another one, and Simon said this earlier, that this will not be, this is the first outbreak, pandemic we've experienced in the information age, but it certainly won't be the last. And if it isn't, and we have another one sometime soon, people are going to start thinking, what's a necessary journey? Well, perhaps 3 days a year in a controlled environment is a lot more necessary than schlepping in, doing the commute, eating toast while gulping mouthfuls of air on the way to a train that's late isn't going to be as much fun as sitting on the sofa next to your kid and watching morning cartoons. So I just think it may be that this isn't quite as bad. I mean, it's obviously a very bad situation, but maybe this isn't the death knell for exhibitions everyone thinks they are. Perhaps it's actually going to be the opposite to some degree. And yes, that's it really. That's just a point I wanted to make. Oh, Theo.
Yes, I think you were, when just to make one referral to the time that we were here in February, probably you were, as we discussed the other day on the phone, probably you were the only person who knew what is kind of happening, because you were already writing the information and press releases with regards to the UFI postponed Asia conferences, I think it was at that time. So, but we are really glad that you didn't tell us, that we had really the time of a good vibes in February. So
it was a thing on the other side of the world at that point, wasn't it? just as it is when people go into a city now, they sit there and it's not a thing. It may not be a thing in time to come, but it is certainly a new reality, and it was then, wasn't it?
Yes, yes, absolutely. So from you, from your thoughts, I mean, I think it's a very good bridge to make straight to Gorazd, to give the floor to Gorazd, because he would be also will be able to give us some insights about from the point as a media, as a destination, and after that we will start focusing more on destination side. So thank you very much, Gorazd, for joining us, and the floor is yours.
Thank you, Theodora. I miss so much Varna when I see this nice view, you know, from 17th floor. Oh my gosh, yeah. So hi, everybody. Well, it will be a short comment on what is going on in my small environment here in Slovenia, in our small country. Well, first of all, let me start that in the Balkans, we were born ready for crisis, because crisis is in our DNA. So we live with crisis non-stop. This is, we learn to live with the crisis. So we're not in such a great shock. And we personally believe that this is really a good time to rethink everything, implement some new communication technology and sales solutions, and to restart again. So I see this as a positive time for my company, for my colleagues, although it's hard, to be honest with you. In Slovenia, we are fighting a lot with the Slovenian government to support us. And finally, after all these years I'm working in this industry, we are recognized as a Slovenian meetings industry, Industrija Sreča. There was even a parliamentary session in the Slovenian parliament just for our industry. So out of this crisis, something great happened, and we joined forces, all of us from the industry, the first time in history, around 800 companies from Slovenia, and we figure out what is the volume of business, how many people work in our industry, and so on and so on. So if I can wrap up, in 3 months, we digitalized, for example, like in 3 years before, and it's exactly the same for the Slovenian meetings industry. In 3 months, we joined forces, and we are now much stronger than before. But let me start with just a few comments, what I see from the marketing point of view. Well, our method of working and doing events always puts the individual meeting planner, or I don't know, participants first. We always have in focus in mind the end client, the customer, the meeting planner we are talking with, and this is still there. You know, it's simply it's still the focus of everything what we are doing. And during these pandemic times, we were overrun by buzzwords like, I don't know, now it's time to how COVID will change, stay safe, blah, blah, blah. Yeah? So a lot of buzzwords around this industry, and they tell us a lot about the challenges and dilemmas we have, as well as marketing strategies for overcoming them. So we decided to figure out what is the zeitgeist, what is the situation with the meeting planners, so our end customers, or what we are doing for meeting planners and for participants. This is what I'm preaching nonstop. So we analyze this from March on. We analyze different aspects of what is going on, from, I don't know, the situation at the beginning of crisis, when everybody was really concerned. Around 90% of people said that they're really, really concerned about the future of meetings industry, to the final stage now when we are analyzing online versus live events. Just to let you know, it was confirmed a few days ago that we should use word online events, not virtual events, by the community of European events media houses. So let's use this online versus virtual, because I can explain this in detail, but online is the right word to use when we are talking about what we're doing today. And the burning question was to all of our meeting planners when we will meet again. So we created this L-Day campaign. We asked many meeting planners about what will be the live event day all over Europe. And of course, there is no clear answer. More or less, optimists believe that we will start again with the industry in September. Pessimists believe we will start next year, so in spring 2021. And this is where we are now. But what can we do in this critical situation? How can we use this as our advantage? And you said many times today that we should remember how flying changed after September 11. It's exactly the same what is going on with our industry now. But from point of view of marketing, I believe it's time, first of all, to do a proper crisis communication. We checked 60 ICA top web pages all over Europe. And to be honest with you, and I'll totally direct, the quality of websites is so low all over Europe that we have a big place for development just to put in order all the websites we have. So integration of social media doesn't exist, and the crisis communication about COVID is not there. What you can do now is not to sell, but to communicate with your clients in a nice, proper way. Show them that you are human and that you care, and tell exactly what is going on destination. And you won't believe 40% of destination portals don't communicate anything about COVID. Business as usual. Come to our city, we are here, we have capacities, blah, blah, blah. So this is my first suggestion to you. Be human now in this communication, and we have a lot of work to do. The next step is that, as I said before, we digitalized by night, and now we have a lot of work to do also to digitalize all the communication. This is what we are doing with a lot of clients of us, because they simply don't know. For example, I told you even in Varna that the first thing, if you organize event or if you run a destination, is that you clean up your database, take care about your database, take care about the content you are providing to the meeting planners, become a media house as a destination or as a venue provider. And this is all ahead of us. We have a lot of work to do. And then, of course, my next suggestion is, and then I will slowly stop with these crazy thoughts I have, is that you need to somehow create a destination think tank. For example, we will do this in Slovenia next week. We join forces. I believe in intelligence of the group intelligence, if you want to. And we will have a design thinking workshop, because that's what we are doing with all the clients we have. This is our approach now for a decade already, and it's really, really useful, because we can create a new prototype of destination through such thinking, a new prototype of events, if you want to. And it proves in practice that it really works well. For example, next week, as I said, we will prototype the new Slovenia for meetings and events, the new marketing strategy, the new products we will sell on the international market. And what I really believe is that we can really become leaders of Europe. I know it sounds totally crazy. We were always followers, but now it's time for destinations like we are, for second-tier destinations. Why? First of all, because we are, as I said, more flexible in certain ways. We can adapt faster. Also, creativity is there in the Balkans. Theodora, you probably agree with that. In the Balkans, we are quite creative people. Also, Stelios is laughing there, you know. But I mean, from deep creativity we have in the region, you know, we can bring some great solutions to international meetings, meeting planners. And this is where we come to this old and new Europe. The guys from UK will kill me, I know, Rob, sorry for my thoughts, but this is our opportunity to be leaders, to create new types of events. We are not talking anymore just about hybrid and online and so on. This is over now. We are talking about completely new needs of participants. So about new communication planned around your events or our events or any events or any destination. So a lot of work to do, but first of all, we need to dig deep and figure out what are the needs of the meeting planners and of our participants. So yeah, I think so. It's our time is coming, and the important thing is that, as I said, that we start with a kind of think tank of certain destinations, join forces, and you did a lot in few weeks actually in Bulgaria. Probably in normal times you will need, I don't know, 3-4 years to achieve what you achieved, Theodora, in Sofia. It's exactly the same in Slovenia. And have in mind that priorities of meeting planners are completely different now. So this goes also with the marketing. You need to analyze what are the priorities, and number one is of course healthy and safety, and then still accessibility, and then other things which were important before, like value for money and so on. So it goes like that. Start with the needs and then adapt your marketing, your events, everything what you're doing to the needs of the clients. Thanks a lot. Yeah.
Gorazd, yes, I think, I mean, there would be a huge work actually to start talking to the meeting planners, because I'm not sure that they yet know what they need. So probably this is yet to come. It's still, this is on the table, because I think there is the road about how their needs are changing. This is still in a process. So, I mean, this is kind of an ongoing thing, and there will be a time, basically, we have to be fast in evaluating, because what is, let's say, in September, probably won't be the same in December and January. And because when we are planning in advance, and even when we start now bidding for an event, for example, this is still kind of walking on a icy road, yes?
Yeah, if you are pushed by the clients, like we are, for example, and you need to adapt by night. For example, the client wants to have a virtual or online conference in September. Then you need to adapt the whole business model you have. You need to sit down with your suppliers and adapt. For example, now we have at least 4 types of online events ready for market. That means that we dig deep, you know, we analyze what the client needs are, and then we put together also the price list of what we are selling actually. So it was quite a big challenge for our team to put this together. Nothing was comparable to this situation. Now we have 4 new products we can sell to our clients, to be honest with you. And by night, we changed the business model from a classical event agency to something different. Well, we did a lot of work on communication before, and this goes well with our business model now, because it's more and more communication involved now in these online events. But as I said, you need to be in contact with your clients on a daily basis, and this push you forward. For example, colleagues from 27 Names, which is one of the biggest European network of independent event agencies, they are doing really well. They are totally optimistic about the future. They don't really believe that the business is over. I personally believe in face-to-face. Don't get me wrong. I'm a big promoter of face-to-face events. That's for sure, because nothing can replace face-to-face. But as an industry, we need to adapt, and we need to adapt fast. And we have a lot of work to do, as I said. There was a lot of experiments for example, at the beginning of this process with Zoom, with different platforms. But now, more or less, we all know what is good for engagement with participants, what is good for webinars, what is a good solution for, I don't know, video streaming, what is a good solution for trade shows and so on. So just in 3 months, we completely reshaped the way how we do business. And this is so amazing to me. I like that. We live in crazy times, and who knows what will come out. But personally, again, there are some things missing when we are talking about online events. Definitely smell, feel, and some other things. And without that, the industry is a little bit boring. So we will come back for sure.
Yes,
for sure.
I hope that I will be able to join you at the end of August for Conventa crossover in person. So of course I'll do my best if there is no chance to be online. But for me, it's like 100% trying to get to Slovenia in person.
Thanks.
Then, so it's really good to hear now from Igor. Igor, thank you for joining us and to see what have our neighbors been doing. And are you coming to Conventa crossover in person as well?
Well, let's hope that it will be possible. You know, hi everyone from my side as well, and it is good to be at least online together with you again. Although we had a mutual several times we actually spoke. I think I actually speak to Gorazd at least once a things, and all that in our to maintain our business. And you know, after I spoke with the Gorazd and now hearing all other relevant speakers here, also I have one very important thought, and that is the players in the industry that are actually more small companies like event agencies that the Gorazd has are more proactive and more flexible and more innovative. On the other side, still the business is driven by the large associations and the large PCOs. And after speaking with them, I'm not really sure if they're ready to abandon the traditional business models of events and congress organization. This is just from the perspective of the association meeting planners. I think that they're actually relying on the fact that the medical situation will be more or less good, and in a safe spirit, they will continue organization of the event. And in that manner, I can see that the association business, both domestic in Serbia and international, especially European one, is actually still trying to maintain the old school way of business. Also, the stakeholders like the hotels are being also very passive. I know that we all now have a brand new properties reconstructing, especially now new ones in Sofia, but the business model itself and the way how we want to target the clients remain the same. And when I speak with the hotels from large cities in Serbia, especially Belgrade and Novi Sad, they still don't know how to reinvent the wheel, you know, how to start attracting more and more clients or domestic clients. And recently, because as Professor Davidson also knows, I'm also doing a little bit of teaching and researching. And recently I find an article, maybe it was the mid of 2000, like 2007 or 8, doesn't matter, but they're speaking about the concept of enclavic destinations. Enclavic means that they're making a ghetto of tourism destinations. For example, you now, Teodora, are now in Bulgaria seaside coast, right? And everything there is made for the entertainment purpose of the tourists. And now when there is no primary tourists and when there is no income for our business models, then everything stops. And because we're all used to these mass tourism gatherings, now we do not know how to overcome this situation. And I'm pretty sure that this goes not just for the scene and sun destinations, but also for the meetings and event destinations, especially large cities. You know, when you have a challenge how to fill out the rooms, when the 80% of all the guests are international guests coming from the meetings and events in your destination. I know I'm looking forward to hear what the guys in Slovenia are going to do after these think tank things. But still, I'm pretty sure that our business model, no matter if you're using this technology, Zoom platforms, everything else, but since it is driven by the large players that are having a large number of delegates, large budgets, they will actually prefer to save it and continue doing it when it is possible. Hope maybe autumn this year, maybe next year. I'm not really sure. Maybe the last thought, regarding our local market. Now it's summer season is coming. So after speaking with the leading destinations outside capitals, so like mountain resorts or spa resorts, their targets were pretty high for this summer season, and they're going to achieve it. And what is interesting is that we have some of the meetings and events of the domestic associations and domestic corporate clients taking place even in July and end of August, which is was not typical, because they were postponed from the April-May to this period of a year. While when we speak about the city-based hotels, the estimate is that the average occupancy is going to be during the summer season approximately 20 to 30% occupancy of the rooms, which is a little bit less than the average occupancy during the last years. But still, the bookings for the September, October, November, they still remain, especially with the domestic clients. But domestic organizers are looking at these hybrid movements and trying to engage with the international speakers, at least online, because they need to prove the registration fee that was actually paid by the delegates. And when speaking about the regional market, we did have some discussions. Unfortunately, this pandemic situation, it goes one-on-one with the political situation, is not going in favor of the regional market. I was speaking with one of our PCOs, and they're organizing a regional meeting in the Zlatibor mountain, which is approximately 2 to 3 hours driving. And when they say regional, they had usually they have guests from Croatia, Bosnia, Slovenia, Bulgaria, Macedonia, Greece, and so on, Montenegro as well. And now you see that the guys from the EU are not allowing guys that are not EU to cross the borders. Also, the other side, there's some other political things. I really don't want to speak about it. And they said, Igor, for the first time ever, we actually need to return the money to the delegates from Macedonia, Bosnia, Slovenia, and so on, because these travel restrictions are pretty high, and sometimes not always directly, not always influenced by the pandemic, but also by political reasons, which is not good. And that is the reason why we all in our region, and I saw that the guys, you, Teodora, with your colleagues from Bulgaria Convention Bureau and the partners really did a massive effort over the governments. But in the period starting September, October, we all need to work much more harder on establishing this industry in the eyes of the political decision makers and the broad government and broad public about all the positive effect that meetings and events bring to the country. When we speak about like this on this type of the conference, or when we come to the Congress in Bulgaria or in Slovenia, we all speak among each other, and among ourselves we are the best. But unfortunately, no one knows about us, and that's why our industry, especially PCOs, especially hotels, someone asked about the conference centers, they were not even on the list about the government support or supporting them to find the best solution how to get out from this. So I'm pretty sure that the last years they were great, but actually we're starting from the zero level. We need to do all from the beginning, and we are in the same sauce together. So we need to cater each other, to support each other. For example, I know the guys in Germany, okay, it's a little bit wider region, let's say like that, but according to their law and their recommendations, business events like conferences, even trade shows are not considered as a mass gatherings. While in the same time, we have an issue to prove the government that the event is not the mass gathering, although the government sees it equally as if you go to the cinema or to the theater. You know, they're completely two different things. I'm not saying that the culture is not important, like going to the theater. It is important, but you know, perceptions about our industry were not that great. And in that sense, you know, these secondary destinations or second-tier cities outside the large cities, I'm pretty sure they're going to have a big vacant space to attack, you know, starting September, October, at least once their maximum, like say 1 hour to hour and a half drive from the airport for the international clients. And this is some of the requests we actually get. So I want to stay positive, although some of the figures or semi-information we have, again, from China or from whatever part of the world, is not that positive. But I really want to stay positive and to believe that the industry will restart. But restart means not the evolution, it means the revolution. We really need to fight for our position in the decision makers, fight for the budgets, and we need to educate clients, you know, and what are the meetings and events all about. So that's from my side. So if you have any question or thoughts, I'm here to further discuss.
Thank you. I will give examples of what we have done from the side of the Bulgarian Convention Bureau. But first, I would like to give the word to Dimitrios from the Thessaloniki Convention Bureau. And after that, we'll give them just basic, to share some examples what we have done here in Bulgaria and how we managed to keep some of the business working. Thank you.
Hey, hello, everybody. Hello, Theodora. Thank you for putting this together. Thank you very much for the invitation. The truth is that in the beginning of the crisis, as in every crisis until today, our immediate reaction was a bit of putting out the fire first instead of planning in the long run. But this specific crisis and its impact were so widespread that the situation was forcing us to think in a different and more broad way, I would say. That was the thinking behind the initiative of the Greek Ministry of Tourism, which created and launched a new online platform with the name Greece from Home that looks to promote the country's image, the image of the islands, Thessaloniki, Athens, to people all over the world, and invites them to visit Greece, of course, virtually, not physically, straight from the comfort and safety of their homes. The platform, Greece from Home, is for prospective visitors alongside Greeks with amazing content and allows people to stay connected internationally. So in the same spirit, the Thessaloniki Convention Bureau created a new video for the city and broadcasted massively on various platforms and social media. The creation of this new video for congresses and events, alongside with the creation of a new website and building of an intense and solid presence of Thessaloniki on social media, were a priority for us in this period. The main goals for this action were, of course, to help people from all over the world stay in touch with our destination, for future travelers to discover Thessaloniki and to be inspired by its beauties, and the most important, I think, to send a positive message to tourism professionals. The whole idea was to highlight the qualities of our city, to uplifting peoples in the community, and to really sort of keeping at the forefront of people's minds what Thessaloniki has to offer. I think almost all of us here would agree that CVBs had somehow to reinvent their roles during this crisis, in the way we work, in the way we interact with our clients and partners. But on the other hand, the core mission of a convention bureau remains the same. And it is, of course, bringing people together, bringing stakeholders, bringing clients, bringing industry partners and members of the local community together, creating discussions and creating spaces for discussion. Having this in mind, we launched a series of webinars with the title Destination Update Webinars to address all current pressing matters, from protocols to destination marketing strategy, creating a platform for solid, substantive updating information and timely and effective consultation, of course, for Thessaloniki Convention Bureau members and for all the members of the local community. The webinars were a hit, featured 24 high-profile speakers and were attended by more than 500 live streamer attendees, and the relative videos had more than 5,000 views. Furthermore, I would like to underline that in every crisis, of course, there are opportunities, and I really believe that strengthening the bonds with each other and working more together was one of them. During the last months, we have invested a lot of time and resources into fostering the relationship with our clients, securing that they will bring business to Thessaloniki, working on their particular circumstances, because every situation is different, but at the end of the day, they are clients and the relationships will bring business to Thessaloniki in the future. So fostering this relationship during this period was really critical for us. I could say that retroactively, we realized that the last 2-3 years were actually good years, and the last months have showed it very well. We sometimes take things for granted, and I think it's good once in a while to go back and rethink and listen to the needs of our clients and partners, and maybe solve some issues that you didn't think need solving because they weren't big enough. It is important to say that this crisis taught us many things, taught us to listen a little bit more, to think a little bit more, and to become more creative. And actually, that's a good thing to go that way. I would like to conclude by saying that as much as our industry is considered to be a fragile one, collectively we are resilient, and that brings at the forefront of the importance of our relationships, the relationships with our collaborators, with our industry partners, with our clients, with our counterparts in other CVBs where we collaborate and align. And I think that, you know, as much as this is a challenging time, it's done an outstanding job bringing people together, sharing knowledge, sharing ideas, sharing best practices as we do here today. And it is important to keep this communication lines open beyond this pandemic. Once we are back in doing business, once we are back in the new normal, as we call it, to really hold on to this relationship that we nurture in this challenging time and carrying forward with us to sort of pave the way to future businesses.
Yes, thank you. One of the videos that you've made available early, I think it was early April, I think at some point.
Yeah, April, that's right.
I have to say that it was been given as an example on many occasions as a very good work done and quick and creative here in Bulgaria, because it was really a good way to show the work. On behalf of the Convention Bureau, as you know that I am also taking the role of as a CEO of the Bulgarian Convention Bureau, I have to say that in what we have managed to do for the last 3 months as a Convention Bureau, I think in a normal situation, it could have taken probably 2-3 years. So from that point of view, we become a huge family, we become a community, we've been talking on a daily basis, more and more organizations and partners become members of the Convention Bureau. We made a huge step of partnering with other associations with whom we found that it's good to communicate, that we have similar issues and topics to discuss in order to beat the situation, let's say. So despite of the difficult situation and challenging time, I have to say that we are proud of the work of the members, the current members. We are proud of the work of the Convention Bureau. It's recognized. We managed to speak with our ministries, and we really opened widely the door to speak with the public bodies, which is very important, as Gorazd said, that we are now talking about the meeting industry in Bulgaria, which I think in just a few months, no matter of the activities of either with the conference here we had, it was more difficult. So I'm really happy with what we've done. Of course, there's many things, a lot of things to be done, but it's really kind of united. We are stronger, it's for sure. So it's we found a lot of new partners, and we managed to give to address the topics, to address the issues. We managed to put the rules how the industry is ready to reopen, and I have to say that we are proud of the work, because just 2 days ago I've seen a conference going on. Yes, it's a domestic conference, but more than 150 people, and it's brilliant. I mean, I nearly start crying when I've seen the reception area and the badges and everything. I mean, yes, it's on a social distancing, but this is brilliant. So I'm really happy with the work. There is a lot to be done, but we are stronger. We know exactly we know that we are on the right road, let's say, and we walk. So so the hosts here, I want to present the hosts here, Nelly, please. And she's one of you're gonna stay on social distancing? No. Yes, I'm really. Please show them the view. I already done it, but once again, we are really here, ready to meet clients. Everything is set up, so we are really happy being here. Thank you very much.
Thank you for the great opportunity, Theo. Thank you. No. And for the great speakers also. Thank you very much.
And I have to say that they also last week, the hotel joined, it's now a proud member of the Bulgarian Convention Bureau. And now I want to give the floor to Genoveva, as there is a lot of things, innovative things she to tell us.
Hello, everybody. I'm really, really jealous. You know, I'm from Varna and I cannot deal with you today. Wow. And I think this time you managed to have the weather right? The weather is perfect. So it's like the last time was raining, you know, miserable. It's like it was like a prediction of what's going to happen. Joking. So now it's a great prediction so that everything is gonna be all right with this weather. So hello everybody, I'm Jenny Christova, and I'm a managing director of Ligna Group, and I'm working very closely with Theodora and the team, and also been like 15 years in hospitality industry. Maybe you remember me in the last time when I was speaking. So Theo asked me that for me to share some solutions, what we've been doing this time, you know, for the last 3 months. And to give you some ideas about the innovative projects we've been working on. But before that, I would like to say a huge and big thank you to Bulgarian Convention Bureau, because I think Theo is quite modest and humble, so she would never say this, you know, but I need to tell you that because of her personal efforts and the efforts of everybody from the managing board and all members, this group managed to do the impossible thing. And as Stelios, I think Stelios was the gentleman who was speaking before about the role and the power of associations, right? So the Bulgarian Convention Bureau managed the impossible to meet our Prime Minister, to go there and to say, hello, we need to reopen. And so I think I was really very proud of them, because they were really shout out and they didn't stop until the politicians heard them. Because, I mean, come on, I mean, as I think Igor, it was you who were saying, come on, they need to hear us, because, okay, it's also it's a very important part of the industry, because the destination tourism, the event tourism, I mean, this is part what makes the destination as it is, and it's very important part of the tourism hospitality. So the Bulgarian Convention Bureau, I think, made such a great effort. And because of them, from the 1st of June, we were able to start reopening the events and to start making hybrid events. I think it was Simon who was telling us about the hybrid events. And by the way, tomorrow, so Theodora needs to just to helicopter herself back to Sofia, because we are doing a hybrid event tomorrow in Sofia in the evening. So everybody locally from Bulgaria is invited to join us in Misia 23 in Sofia, our creative place, the creative hub, where we're gonna show some solutions for hospitality industry. So this was just like a very short beginning, but I think it was very introduction, but I think it was important to mention, because all these efforts, they have to be remembered. And I think this is what the power of community is making, and when the right people are meeting together, I think they can do anything. So back to the solutions. So for the, that there was, I think it was Winston Churchill who said, never waste a good crisis, right? So let's not waste a good crisis. And that's what we've been doing the last 3 months, thinking how to use this crisis in order to make more business. And me being entrepreneur working in hospitality industry for hotels, we are furnishing hotels with our group, Ligna group. We are having about 30-35 furniture companies. We started thinking about this touchless, keyless, or don't touch technologies. And I'm sure the colleagues who are now on this nice sofa over there, Nadia and the other lady. So you are touching very carefully all the furniture, right? You need to have gloves, or you need to have some measures. Many hotels are also using, or they transform now to a digital solutions, like so they speed it up, introducing the digital solutions into their hotels in order to welcome their guests. Why? Because as all previous speakers, I think they've been mentioning, we need to gain trust. So the hotels or the centers or events who manage to gain this trust and confidence to their guests or visitors, they will be ahead of those who are not managing it so well. And now at the reception, there will be so the customer behavior is changing. We will never be the same. And as now they're speaking about this new normal, I think. So what will be the new normal? At the check-in, there will be most probably a self-check-in. So you won't meeting the receptionist, smiley receptionist, or there will be some screens in front of you. And maybe you won't have somebody to lift your luggage. But anyway, you can have other nice ways to be welcome in the hotel and to feel safe. So clean will be the new green, like we used to say, because it's all about clean. And as Hilton, for example, was saying that they need to lift up the cleaning standards in a hotel up to the hospital standard. So everything needs to be really like a hospital clean in order to feel safe. So digital, clean, simple, simplicity or cleanness. This will be the 3 main words when we're talking about hospitality. And I also was listening very attentively to the previous speakers. So the digitalization or the introduction of new technology really speeded up. So if before we were using Zoom for, I think I was using for some in European projects, and I was like 2 or 3 years ago, and it was a really, really slow technology we were learning how to use. Now we're not thinking how to use it, right? So this all about, and I think Zoom makes, I don't know how many 100 times, I think their profit margin is up to the ceiling at the moment, and this happened to all digital solution or digital providers or the IT companies. They're the ones who are really started making, first these days. But how to use this in order to help our industries, in order to, as I said, gain trust and confidence to our tourists and to our clients, so we can be ahead of the game and ahead of our competitors. So in Ligna Group, do we have the slides, or should I just speak about these gadgets?
You better speak about it, is because we won't have enough
Okay,
to go through this.
1-2 minutes more maximum. So, as I said, okay, you enter in the hotel and either you self-check-in, most probably, or you're welcome, behind the plexi by someone, and then you'll be given, instead of welcome drink, you'll be given some kit, like, you know, travel safety kit. But then you can get like a small, this is my headset, but it looks like a personal key, and it will be launched tomorrow. So tomorrow I will also send the Zoom link. So for those who will be still online, and for those who could be offline, they can touch it. So our UV key is you'll be your personal helper, your personal key, with which touchless or keyless you can enter into the room, and then you can switch on your lighting. So you don't need to go on all these switches and to operate in the room. And much more important, you can open all your drawers, like bedside table, like the wardrobe you need to hang your clothes, and most important, the minibar. So you can have some nice drinks. By the way, some of our partners in the network, they are now introducing like special packaged ice, in a special package, ice cubes for example, your drink, which will be in your minibar, but you need still to open it. And as I said, with this personal key holder, you'll be given at the reception. So, and it will be your additional arm or addition in your arm or hand, so you can operate in the room without touching the surfaces or the drawers or whatsoever. Then in a special box, also UV isolated box with UV lighting for disinfection. So UV, we are working with the C spectrum. C spectrum is the very deep spectrum where it kills all germs, all viruses, all surfaces in the air. So in this UV box, which will be integrated into your bedside table for 10 minutes only, you close the box, you put your cell phone, your key, your wallet, your helper. It's called V-key, like UV key. And then for 10 minutes, you close it and you have all sterilized, you're disinfected. So you can operate again in the room, also with your personal belongings. Because just, the bedside table, it's not such a big surface, but your personal and most important belongings, like car keys and telephone and wallet or card, and this you can disinfect and just operate that back normally. And for example, the remote control, you can also disinfect there, because this is also quite dangerous for, you don't know the previous visitor in the hotel room, how it's been touching this remote. So we tried to integrate 3 solutions or 3 problem solver in one device, because it's to enter the room, to switch the lighting, and also to touchless or to operate touchless in all these drawers and surroundings, so you can feel safe. And it's quite affordable. I think it's quite nice design, because we are interior design company as well, instead of just making furniture. And I think many players from the industry, we have also some requests for pilot testing, and we would like to introduce it. And as Theo said, we need to think positive. So I think the entrepreneurial thinking and this creative thinking, how to, as I said, Winston Churchill said, how to not to waste a good crisis, but let's even to get out stronger out of it. Because I think somebody else also said, who said this is a good also saying, only when the tide goes out, and I think it was Warren Buffett, only when the tide's gone out, then you can only see who's been swimming naked. So let's not swim naked. If you like swimming naked, fine, but give you some weapons or some solutions and ideas how to be better prepared and how to be even stronger after the crisis. So happy to see everybody. Thank you very much for the honor to speak to you today. Best regards from Sofia.
Thank you, Geni. And we'll definitely send the link for tomorrow. So our international friends are not able to, it's a bit difficult to join us for tomorrow, but still I want to send them also the presentation, as well as, the link, they be able to join us not on for the presentation, to check for the cocktails, of course. But the other thing is tomorrow this presentation will be, it's going to be like the official presentation of your solution in the discussion, and many of the colleagues that from the hotels that are at the moment watching us live, they will be able to touch it and see it. So it would be good to be able to share afterwards the comments, what they think on that. So thank you. And now I would like to give the floor to our partners from Burgas, as they've been a huge part of during the summit in February. We've been traveling especially to Burgas to see around, and we now want to hear what they have done during the months and what to expect for next year when we are definitely in person there. Thank you.
Hi everyone. I hope you can hear me because I'm in my office. It is quite small, but here actually born most of the tourism politics for Burgas in the last 3 months. What we did in the time of the pandemic, in the time of COVID-19, is actually to use the time to create our brand, a tourism brand, for which we did one competition. We were not sure that we are doing it in the correct time because everyone was stressed in March and April, but actually we realized that this is the exact point to give something as hope to the freelancers, to the artists. And we actually have more than 50 participants in the competition for the tourism brand of Burgas. So our main point was to put Burgas as a word, as a slogan of the whole brand. So this was actually what they had to do, is to incorporate the word Burgas into a logo. So we received over 100 different logos from these 50 participants, and I can show you already the winner of the contest. So actually now we are starting to create different materials which to visualize it, and we hope that next year when you come along you will be able to see it incorporated in all our presentation materials. So the idea behind using the word Burgas is not only to brand the city of Burgas, but to brand the whole region. So this is something we really need because the region is not so big, and it is important to use something that is already is association for the tourists. They have heard of Sunny Beach, but they still know that they land on Burgas. Their travel starts with Burgas, and most of them don't even know that Sunny Beach or Suzopol or any of these places are 30 or 40 kilometers away from the big city. We really hope that this will be brand to show us as the city of the sea, the city of the sun, and even the whole region of the vacation tourism. Of course, where it comes with the MICE events. So we believe that this brand is also very suitable for presenting our place as a complex destination, and we believe that it's gonna appeal also people that are just coming for a conference or for a few days in the city. Even now we are preparing an advertisement video which is going to offer the people to see Burgas as a place where they can work, they can be next to the sea, they can be on the beach. In the same time, they're not going to feel limited from the internet connections, from the comfortable places to sit and do their work. So I hope in a few months you will be able even to see this new advertisement or offer for Burgas. So I hope to see you next year in springtime, and it's going to be a nice time for all of us.
Yes, thank you. I hope next year when we are in Burgas, so we will see everywhere the brand, so I mean to be recognized. Also, I have to say to our colleague friends, international friends, that I checked personally 2 days ago, and the conference center, it's finished. So final details and touches about the furnishing now, and there will be a big festival in August. It's going to be outside, so not in the inside, but still it's they're expecting a good number of people. So hopefully this will stay as it is as it planned. And there will be many other activities we will plan certainly for Burgas. So fingers crossed, everything will be fine. Just a couple of things because the time is approaching, but I want to kind of conclude some stuff. So if we say that the situation, if this disease focused on the weak part of our immune system, I would say that this thing made us more stronger. Also, the disease, the situation put us in distance and apart, but I think we created a better bondage between us. I mean, when I say the people all over, so the distance basic was just the social distancing, but become closer and become better communities, and we created new in a different way friendships and partnerships. And at the end, I have to say that I think we are now already in the more creative times, because we have to be creative about the content, about how we to run the events, how to name the events, how to basically make even, I was thinking how to be creative. I mean, in order, for example, today, we usually the speakers and guests are those getting something at the end. And I was thinking if there is any chance for me to, at the same time, in your places, you to receive something from us. It needs to be planned quite well in order to get the same effect. But this is some kind of challenges that we really have to be creative and to continue being together. So I hope you agree with these things. I mean, and I really hope you can share some final words, and we can open for some questions, the audience. And I'm really happy we've been together today. So maybe starting, Kate, find some final words, and then Rob, and please.
Yeah, well, actually, it was interesting to listen to the colleagues from the industry, and I've noticed that the word community, you know, has popped up a couple of times. Yeah, you noticed that also, right? And I mean, like, it's something that is very, you know, natural, because the communities is the natural form of human being existence, actually. And it's amazing how important they're getting now because of all this stuff going on. So, and also the guys were saying that this crisis has brought some actually positive things into our lives. And I think that the understanding of the importance of the communities and unveiling their potential may be one of the also good points in terms of this topic, because I'm covering today this topic particularly. So thank you for sharing. It was really great to see you all over again, and I'm looking forward to the next personal meeting with you all.
Definitely. Rob, what you would say?
Okay, well, first of all, massive thank you again for inviting me to participate. It's been amazing to see everyone looking great, and actually the whole morning has left me feeling much more optimistic about the future. It's sometimes, you know, easy when you're, especially in the UK at the moment where the situation is really not good. It's easy to get a bit down about the future, but actually in the last couple of hours we've seen lots of evidence of creativity and the kind of energy that I really associate with the Balkan region. You know, everyone who knows me knows that I have a big place in my heart for the Balkan region, and I think we've seen a lot of evidence from the speakers today that things are moving on, people are adapting, showing their creativity and imagination. And so really it's been amazing, and it makes me realize how much I miss this kind of community. So well done, Theodora, and you're a fantastic team, and let's keep in touch. Thank you so much.
Certainly, thank you. Simon?
Yeah, I echo exactly what Rob has said. It's great to be involved, but particularly nice to see you all again. I think my only frustration is, without being disparaging to any conference that I attend, the content is usually very good, but actually it's once the conference is over and you can sit and relax and really chat with people, and I really miss that. I miss good conversation, obviously some nice red wine, but actually it's that unofficial networking that actually makes attending conferences worthwhile. And I think no matter how good the content is online, that little need to be with somebody is irreplaceable. So I look forward to that very much.
Same. Stelios, some words from you?
Yes, once again, thank you. It was really nice hearing and good ideas actually in many areas. During this period we were discussing quite a lot, and I'm seeing also quite a lot the mice part, and you see sometimes that there is because of the different perspective, there is also different understanding. And my question on this is, okay, we need to move fast and to deal with the daily aspect that come along. But I think that in the back of the head of everyone that it is involved in this area, I think it should be also what actually the value of a conference, of an event, of a congress. And there was a lot of discussion about the legacy of the events before the crisis. I think that this discussion needs to come up again, and we need to understand that it goes beyond just the sales of the performance indicator number of beds. So it is not only tourism that the conference help. It is a whole, let's say the economy of knowledge. The value that it's creating is much more than the flow of participants. It creates a value of flow of ideas. And this can have a huge impact in each of the hosting, in each of the destination. And unless this come up, and unless this can be discussed in a proper way, I think that we will only try to solve the everyday things without actually revolutionizing, as it was said, the sector. So please do consider the actual value of an event, not only on the touristic side.
Thank you so much. Thank you. Anthony, you? Any?
Yes, I mean, obviously in Latin America, they're still going through it's yet to peak. You know, we're starting to rebuild after the impact of it in Europe. It's still being felt, obviously, but it's less so. It does prove our ability to adapt and overcome, and I don't think it's a case of transitioning from something we weren't doing to something we now will be. I think it simply accelerated a lot of that. Obviously, there's a hell of a lot of heartache that's occurred as a result of it, but as the guys have said, and there's a lot of very positive things to look forward to on the back of this, and I look forward to them being realised. And again, I think it does, far from give a reason not to attend, it just adds greater credibility and merit to the times when we get back on the plane and all have a drink together again.
Yes, I hope it will be really soon. I mean, really soon. I mean, to be honest, I really hope that the meetings show it's staying with the same dates. So I see myself in UK because for 15 years I haven't made such a big gap between my travels either to UK. So this is, I hope this is staying.
Yeah.
Yes. So Dimitris, final word.
Yeah, well, thank you again for inviting us to participate. I should like to close by saying that this is actually the new normal and will stay for us for a while. So now as destination and cities, we need to think of ways to keep offering amazing experience when hosting an event, and the most important, conveying our destination through virtual meetings. Thank you again.
Thank you. Thank you. Igor?
Yeah, thank you for asking me to join. It was my pleasure. And I want, as I said, to stay positive, not Corona positive, but positive about our developments in entire sector of tourism and hospitality, and of course of the events industry. And I believe that after this restarting, we are going to become much more smarter. I hope you're going to use that to position our industry as it should be. Thank you.
Thank you. By the way, I have to say that the including the time that Igor now mentioned it, just in 2 hours plus, we only used 4 times the word Corona. This is the 5th time. So I think we can manage to live without this word. So we have to start excluding it from our daily life. Gorazd, are you here or just not thinking right now? So Geni, some words from you.
I totally agree with what Simon said. I'm missing networking. I'm missing exactly the part after when the event is over and we all can just start getting closer in this informal way of communication. So I think people will start to understand even more the power of networking, and they won't neglect it and won't make an excuse, oh, I need to go over there, so I cannot stay. So I think this no, I cannot mention the word, Theo. So this crisis, this situation, right, will make us think more and treasure, or first of all, prioritize, restructure our life, and prioritize means to start understanding what is important for us, not to rush, because I personally found myself before that like rushing all over the place. So prioritizing, treasuring and valuing the little things in life, and also valuing this social interaction and social intercourses where we often forget about it. So I think this will give us back to being more human. So I'm really looking forward to that.
Yes, it's same. I mean, I'm looking forward that tomorrow we are holding an event together. So though it's in limited numbers, but it's still, I mean, I'll send you certainly some pictures if you're not able to see it live. Simon, I mean, honestly, from the people we've been here at the event, I really miss that downstairs. Now I'll be the only person smoking. So I'll send a picture of that. So really, thank you a lot. It was a huge pleasure. I would like to invite Chris again because she's remember part of the team. And also another positive thing that, you know, that the other member of the team, Nedelina, she's now a mom, and her baby boy, it's like 2 months old. So, but a huge, she's always with us. I mean, she's helping and working. So, I mean, she was not so crazy to come with me with the baby, but I think probably this is a good thing. So once again, Anthony, thank you very much for answering our friend and colleague Ian for his questions. And I really hope soon we will be able to be again. It was a brilliant experience and feeling to see you again. I mean, I'm sure that somehow this really put back the positive vibes. And I've sent you the link, but you will see that you are smiling most of the time. So it is really helping, and we'll find ways to be together again. So thank you very much. You're in our hearts, so thank you. And I hope really will be soon again. Thank you. Bye-bye.